MARG, Meekatharra Aboriginal Reference Group. Because our community is so small, so remote, so far away from everybody, we have the lack of resources. You know, we can't just press a button like people in Sydney. It takes a while to get here. Our reference group was a voice, speaking with service providers, negotiating on Aboriginal issues that concerned us, and we'd like to be involved.
It's really important for government to know the views of Aboriginal people.
Prime Minister and Cabinet helped us develop this reference group within our community, and we did it. And we've been going for 5 years now.
That mindset about making things better for Meekatharra as a whole is really where MARG has grown and grown and grown and grown.
So when we first started MARG, it was a local community group talking about all the problems in Meekatharra.
I did join when it wasn't as big as it is now.
Just from a small amount of people, it's now everyone knows they can go and put their views forward.
I've been involved with MARG since 2015. I was working for then the Department of Aboriginal Affairs. People within my department have been doing some work about a year before that, just organically growing the group. And I was invited to come up to talk to MARG, really about giving it to look at how I could give it some structure. We had the first meeting that I was involved with up at the rec centre. There was over 40 people there. Majority were obviously community people who were really interested in knowing I suppose where we could go. So at that meeting we had a bit of a broad session on identifying priorities, not only priorities but key actions and other stakeholders who we needed to bring in to work with us in partnership on these issues. So we committed then to meet every month, the second Wednesday of every month, 10 o'clock, and we did that every month. And we started to really develop some, I suppose, expectation. Not only community people expected that they could come and talk to MARG or come and be part of MARG at the second Wednesday of every month, but also stakeholders and partners could also expect that, you know, they could plan around being in town if they weren't in town, or at least attending that meeting and being part of the solution process.
For WA Primary Health Alliance, working with MARG has been a really special relationship. You don't actually get to work with Aboriginal communities too often, and for our team this has been a really genuine way to engage with community and be respectful and give back to the community. So to be able to do this kind of work in a remote town and support the town to achieve greatness and better well-being and health outcomes, that's absolutely what we're here for. So we couldn't be prouder of having a great relationship with MARG as we do.
My role primarily as a community member, I was interested in MARG because MARG actually comes together and openly discusses a lot of stuff that is happening within our communities.
The community has had a forum that they know is continuous, and that the people who are involved with it aren't there to tell them what they should think, say or feel about issues.
Previous sort of policy, strategy approaches, people have come out and said many things to the Aboriginal community in places like Meekatharra, and it just hasn't happened. People haven't, or agencies haven't delivered, things have changed. So the Aboriginal community, who are always the constant, they become fairly disengaged and not interested. Well, again, MARG's turned that around, and I think is one of the greatest examples of Community Development 101, but also doing it in an approach with working together with government. As these outreach services are coming to town and wanting to do business and do it better, you know, they come and sit down at the MARG table and ask that question, how can we do it better? And MARG work with them to identify that and put things into place.
So we first came to Meekatharra because we wanted to commission some new services into the Murchison district and to ensure that we actually captured what the community needed. We approached the MARG and worked with them to make the decision around which organisations we should look to fund, to make sure that the community actually do embrace the services and actually use them.
So I'm currently in the position of coordinator for mental health support services, brought about because of WAFA consulting with the community, and the community saying what their needs are. And they felt the need for another service to come in to sit alongside the WA Country Health Service that comes in to visit, and one that was specifically for Aboriginal people.
We're actually commissioning to where the need is in the community, and we are actually looking at the bigger picture within the place of Midwest.
Governments over a period of time have come to realise that you cannot address Aboriginal issues by deciding what the problem is and then just mobilising to do something to them. The Aboriginal community has to be at the very forefront in terms of commitment and participation before you can make any real progress.
And I think it's also helped. I'm not only an Aboriginal person who has links here and family here, but I'm also a government person. So when we've identified priorities and issues that need to be addressed, I've been able to sort of open the door of government and get into some of those agencies to come to the MARG table, sit down and talk about this stuff.
Been appointed chairperson, which is a big honour. It was actually my elders that put my name forward, and I can't argue with that. I'm here to try and do the best thing for our mob. So primarily I went along to MARG meetings to give our young people a voice. As much as our elders are so important to us, on the flip side of that, so are our youth. So we've really got to listen to both.
Look, the future in MARG, as I see it, is really around doing some effort at the moment to bring in young people in Meekatharra, be part of that process, sit down, have a look, see what happens, develop some confidence. Young people know what's going on here as well, so if we can incorporate them and the elders get a chance to sort of pass down some of their knowledge through this process as well. We've had meetings at the youth centre, we've had meetings at the school, we've had young people come. We want to continue that and really step it up. MARG then, I suppose, as a regional view, becomes a bit of a leader in that area and can be a great example for other towns and other localities potentially on how they can do things to work in partnership with the Aboriginal community and agencies to address issues. We've got a group in Mount Magnet at the moment who are going fantastically well, the Mount Magnet Yamatji Reference Group, and that was really born out of someone coming to a MARG meeting from Mount Magnet and coming up and saying to me, brother, we need to do this in Magnet, and so we did. But MARG has really laid the groundwork, I think, and a pathway for others to potentially follow to do things. And there hasn't been a lot of sort of government resource in terms of money and that thrown at it, but it's showing success. It's really about, I suppose, creating some space to change mindsets.
MARG, I think, in the future will be a leader program, how community people can work together to improve their communities. And not only communities, that goes back to their families, and they can see how to improve communication with each other. So maybe they'll learn those skills.
If there's no communication between service and community, one, the service lacks, and the community misses out on that service as well.
The things are here in Meekatharra, people can access them. We'd like to get more and more of the Aboriginal community here in Meekatharra involved in what these things are, so that they can prosper too, because Meeka is Meeka, and without us, there is no Meeka.